You are tuned in to Big Boys and Body Slams, three goofballs that talk about wrestling. Throwback and current day pay-per-view reviews. Follow us on Twitter at BB&BS Podcast. And while you're at it, check out our merch store and our Patreon page. All the links will be in the description below. Enjoy the show. What is up, Hulkamaniacs? And welcome back to Big Boys and Body Slams. Happy freaking 2019.
2019!
We are here recording this on New Year's Day. Of course, you'll hear it on the Wednesday after. Tomorrow. Today for you.
How wild is it that we watched this show in 2019 just seemed like 2005?
Wow.
Wild.
It was wild.
Oh, we're on top of our game today.
We hope you all had a happy New Year's. Hope you watched the ball drop and got a bunch of smooches.
Greg?
All right. Yeah, Greg. We're glad to be here. And we got an interesting show for you tonight, which we'll cover in a moment.
I think we talked about this. I remember the show, like watching it and not hating it as much as I did today.
Yeah, I never had seen this show before. And of course, we are doing the WWE New Year's Revolution 2005 in January of 2005. I had never seen the show before. Looking at the card, I thought it had the potential to be a stinker, but it surpassed my expectation of stink in a bad way by far.
Oh, yeah. Before we get into the actual show, though, you can find us on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts and Google Play and all those places that are not named Spotify, but my New Year's resolution is to get on Spotify.
We need to shake that tree branch for me.
So do you think that continuing to talk trash about them is effective?
Probably.
Or maybe let's be nice?
Listen up, brother.
Oh, we're just going to have to body slam them.
You know what? Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Sometimes that if you talk enough about somebody, they'll start to like you.
It's true.
I think you would know about that.
Becky Lynch, she talked a lot about herself, and now everybody likes her, right?
That's a fair point. He's got a point.
She's the man.
Hate to admit when he's got a point, but he's got a point.
No, she's the man.
I don't know exactly what he's trying to say, but
She's the man.
Before we really get into this show, I don't know if we've really done this on the pod yet. How about 2018 in WWE?
It was a weird year.
It was a weird year. There were some ups and downs.
It was historic to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Evolution just mainly 2018 just for Evolution was amazing.
Yeah, I think
for women's wrestling, oh my god.
I think it's kind of the hear me out here. I think it's kind of the tale of two WWEs, because on the one hand, you have the television product, which mostly has been kind of floundering and it's not getting ratings and it's struggling. Even SmackDown had a period this year where it really wasn't, the show wasn't up to snuff.
There were some like career low or like historic lows.
And then, but you have the pay-per-views, which I think this was one of the strongest years for WWE pay-per-views I can remember ever. So it's kind of like that dichotomy, and it just proves to you that they have so many talented people on the roster, and the writing and the creativity is just not there right now.
I think that there's a lot of overachievement by the WWE and a lot of underachievement as well. I think there's a lot of things that could have been done better, but I think the women have surpassed a lot of expectations, and I think guys like the return of Daniel Bryan was huge.
Yep.
And I think they kind of just had him floundering for a little bit. But then on the other hand, you have guys like Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, who I think could be a lot more, I don't know, used better. I
think guys like, I think Braun Strowman had a great year. It didn't end as good as it started.
Yeah.
Well, that's because of injury.
Right.
But
I think, and I know a lot of people are going to be upset by this, I think it's a net positive, kind of.
Yes.
Oh, probably.
Because the wrestling has been so good this year.
I think we'll see what 2019 brings. I think the wrestling business in a whole is in for a boom.
With AEW coming.
Yep.
And with Impact.
And All In happened this year. I mean, this last year.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you're seeing New Japan and Impact and Ring of Honor all put on great shows.
Yeah. No,
Homecoming next Sunday. I hope you guys all watch it.
And we got Wrestle Kingdom in just a couple days.
On Friday.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
We know a couple people over there, so pretty excited for them.
Yeah. Should we get into today's show then?
Yes.
So today we have WWE New Year's Revolution 2005. As I said earlier, this is coming to us on January 9th, 2005. We have a house of 15,764.
Sold out
in
the Coliseo de Puerto Rico.
Yep, in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Not San Jose, JR.
No, not San Jose.
Dummy.
And this is a Raw exclusive pay-per-view.
And the first ever pay-per-view in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
There was like 4 signs that said that. I saw.
So the show and this crowd was lit tonight.
Oh, yeah.
They had no reason to be, and there were some boring chants, justified.
There was like one boring chant.
1 or 2 maybe, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like this was a very old school crowd. Like
They
this
were
is a crowd.
hot,
This is a
dude.
crowd who was hot for the baby faces and like hated the heels,
Except for
like,
the main event. But
except
we'll
for the
get
main
back into
event,
that. What I mean, they were probably super hot because this was their chance. So it's like either if you flame out, if you show no interest as a crowd with your first pay per view in Puerto Rico, I mean they're not going to come back.
Also, I think from the experience of being in the WWE show, because they don't come to Portland and Seattle for the big shows very often, but I remember that the No Mercy that we did, like I remember that being a hotter show than it was, and I was all about that show there, and it was kind of bad.
Yeah.
So other than like the ladder match,
When you're in the
live
moment a lot
viewing's
of the time.
different, man.
Yeah. So these people are hot for.
I will say something they didn't show in the broadcast that we watched. Before the show went on the air, Lillian Garcia came in. She's from Puerto Rico.
I saw that she had the
She had
Puerto
the
Rican
She had an
flag
awesome
her
shirt on. Yeah.
And she sang the Puerto Rican anthem.
That's awesome.
And like that, it immediately got that crowd
That's
just
awesome.
hype.
That's awesome.
So.
So we do open with there's a nice like motif of like a CGI dragon throughout the show. I don't really understand the correlation between Puerto Rico and dragons. If there's something, let us know. But man, this was a
I feel
terrible.
like the revolution itself had. Go ahead.
The
Was it the
next,
pay-per-view
the
itself?
2006 New Year's Revolution, I looked at their logo too.
dragon.
Yeah, it had a dragon in it.
Terrible
too.
CGI.
That's
dragon,
what I'm saying.
But I
is
loved it.
I don't
Yeah.
know why it was New Year's Revolution, but it always did.
Maybe because the Chinese New Year, the symbol's a dragon. It's a stretch. Probably.
You are, yeah.
But
Oof.
Your ears.
Hyperextended, homie.
Sorry about that. So I kind of like the opening video package because I had no idea the show was in Puerto Rico before I started watching it.
Beautiful
And like
Puerto Rico.
it starts out with this like very much like a Cologne's like when they were like travel agents, that gimmick they had for a while.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes.
It was like that, and I was like, "What is this? This is New Year's Revolution." And then, like as it went on, I was like, "Oh, is this show in Puerto Rico?" And sure enough, it was. It was a pretty fun.
And,
little
you'll
video
learn
package.
later they took it full advantage of the fact that they were in a tropical
Oh,
country
yeah.
in January.
Yikes, they sure did.
But no, I thought that was a really weird intro. to be
Something
honest.
good about the show was how we started off right with some action, right in the beginning. I'm
Oh,
used
your
to-
announcers are JR and King, by the way.
yeah, JR and
Yep,
King, of
and
course.
they are sitting right in front of some cheesy ass palm trees.
Oh yeah.
And I should mention the Spanish announce table. Hugo Savinovich
They
and
got, like,
Carlos
a huge
Cabrera
pop.
got a huge pop. Yeah.
It was great. So we open up right away with a match, which after watching some of these older like WWF and WCW pay-per-views, like opening with like a short video package, like the announcers say hi, and then a match is like a breath of fresh air compared to like some of the shows we've been watching where it's like video package, award ceremony, video package, announcers talk for 5 minutes, video package, first match.
You know, if only someone wouldn't have picked that certain one that had the award ceremonies and stuff.
Okay, that felt like a personal attack, but I'm just gonna move on.
Okay. Before you say that was a personal attack, I believe me and Luke wanted to watch a bunch of different Starcades.
Oh, no,
Yep.
it was a personal attack. So first match of the day is Christian and Tyson Tomko versus William Regal and Eugene.
Hey, before you start this match, I just
Yeah.
want to throw out there on Christian.
Go ahead.
What a difference like a year makes. Maybe like a half year.
Yeah, he at this point he was kind of in a mid-card tag team with Tyson Tomko. Less than a year from now, and as we watched last week, he would be in TNA and he would be on an
On top of
undefeated
the world.
streak.
Yeah.
And essentially 1 year from the show, he would be tagging with Sting in his in-ring return. What a difference a year makes. And at least TNA saw something in Christian, I guess you could say.
Even here, you see that Christian has that talent.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
But I think when he went to TNA, and he said this the other day on I think his podcast, that he honed his craft there and it made him a better competitor.
Oh, for sure.
And I think you can just see it watching
Yeah.
old shows how Christian just becomes so great.
Yeah, I think his improvement is like one of the coolest things to watch in wrestling, like through his entire career.
Hey, WWE, if you're listening, Christian 2019 Hall of Fame, please.
Definitely. And maybe like a couple matches return too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love that, but I don't think he even wants that.
Really? You think
No.
he's just
From
done?
listening to his podcast, he just
He's done.
seems done.
That's fair. And again, this is Christian and Tomko versus Regal and Eugene,
Who are the champs?
who are the tag team champions, and this is for the straps. And of course, everybody remembers Eugene. Was it a nephew of William Regal in storyline?
Nephew of Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff.
yeah.
I apologize. And so Eugene and Regal are a tag team here. And of course, Eugene is special needs in character.
And let me tell you, the king, Sir Jerry Lawler, is on one already.
Why? What does he say?
Well, he said he tells JR, "Look at that guy. His chimney's clogged, and he's the tag team champion." And then continues to say, "JR, can you just admit that Eugene's antenna doesn't get all the channels?"
Yikes.
So
Yeah,
Eugene, though, for the brief stint that he had, was one of the most over characters while he was on the main roster.
He was super over
and
here.
Credit to WWE for actually treating him like the character with respect instead of making him just a laughingstock, because he could get it done and he had moments. And
he was over like Grover with this crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And like WWE mishandles a lot of things, but I think they did it very well with the Eugene character.
I agree.
And I thought it was funny. This whole match, I was rolling.
So, yes, WWE deserves some credit, but at the same time, they made a completely special ed character, and I believe all the credit, or excuse me, at least like the large majority of the credit goes to Nick Dinsmore.
For sure.
I mean,
definitely.
he owned it, and anybody else could have made it terrible.
Oh, yeah, and probably would have. For
and
the
he
most part.
owned the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, I'm not taking anything from Nick Dinsmore.
I loved Eugene. He doesn't.
Oh yeah,
that gimmick doesn't age well. But
this was the time when I wasn't watching a ton of WWE, but he was one of the characters that stood out to me. You know, when I was in high school watching it, just seeing, I don't know, the dynamic that he had was interesting to me. Should we get into this match?
Well, back on Eugene real quick. I don't think it didn't age poorly. Like, I don't know. I thought it was more tasteful than I thought it was back in the day. Like, I thought they did a good job of making him look good.
Yeah,
in
they
ways
made him look strong sometimes.
They made him look strong. They gave him the tag belts.
Mm-hmm.
And the storyline with William Regal was always fun too.
I mean, I guess what I mean is it's just a lot touchier now.
Oh, definitely.
With the slangs that you can say and stuff like
that.
So.
But I mean, at least they weren't like flinging the R word around.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. Which
the heels never called him that.
I'd have to look back.
I'd have to look back, but I don't remember it because I mean the stuff Jerry Lawler said was probably the worst stuff that was said.
I will say that he's wearing a Hulk Hogan ripoff shirt that says Eugene
and the headband too.
In the text, yes, and the headband.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I need me some Eugene Hulk swag.
Oh yeah.
You know what? When he's going through this, I'll get on eBay.
All right, yeah, look it up.
Thanks, brother.
So Regal and Christian are going to start this match off. Nice little technical wrestling exchange to start. Of course, Regal is the master at that, but Christian was holding his own as well. Regal does get some early offense in, and then Eugene gets tagged in. The first thing he does is he does the Hulk Hogan muscle poses to get just a monumental pop, and then he channels his inner junkyard dog. He crawls on his hands and knees and headbutts Christian, and then he cocks his leg and pretends to urinate on him, and the crowd just is eating it all up. And then Tomko gets tagged in, and kind of the whole dynamic changes because now it's like, uh-oh, Tomko can do some damage. But Eugene believes in himself. He doesn't need to tag William Regal, even though he could. He thinks he's got Tomko. He gets the heat on Eugene, though, pretty quickly and starts beating up on Eugene. Tomko does. And then he tags Christian back in. Eugene escapes the ring, and then he goes and starts high-fiving and hugging fans in the front row. And then he goes to hide under the ring. Christian and Tomko are trying to get him. They end up getting back in the ring. Regal's on one side, and so Christian and Tomko think that Eugene's going to crawl through the ring and back up the other side, but smart Eugene crawls back under the side he crawled under and it ambushes both men from behind.
That was funny.
That was a fun spot.
And the announcers do give him credit by saying, a very smart move by Eugene.
Yes, so. It was. Yeah. And then Eugene gets a nice airplane spin. Both men kind of eat it, though, at the end of that. And then he rides Christian like a horse, which I did enjoy a lot. Tomko, out of nowhere, hits a chokeslam. Ugly chokeslam. So they didn't even call it a chokeslam. JR just called it a maneuver. So he hits a chokeslam, and then Christian gets the advantage from that. And then he does tag Tomko in. There's a power slam by Tomko for a near fall, and then Christian back in. Double team to Eugene here. Eugene hooks up. And it's literally, he does hook up. He does the whole Hogan thing. Mm-hmm. He does get a tag here to Regal. And then Tomko comes in and just clotheslines Regal's head off. Very stiff clothesline. Christian comes back. And at this point, Regal's nose is bloodied because he had suffered an injury last week on Monday Night Raw and had
a deviated septum.
Ooh, ouch. And he apparently re-injured. I'm guessing it was on the clothesline.
So it was basically just like, yeah. It was basically just like he hit his deviated septum made it so that anytime he got any contact there, bloody nose. Yeah.
So he starts bleeding now from the neck, and kudos to the announcers because they immediately are able to place it back to the injury he had received there. And then Christian works the nose over too. He targets the nose and face area for a good deal of the rest of this match. So the ref's distracted at one point, and then Tomko's able to get a cheap shot in, and then he tags in. And then this is the point when I noticed in the match, somebody in the audience had a whistle, and they were using it very liberally.
I think it was Bill Alfonso.
Oh man, the whistle was driving me crazy by the end of the show, and especially in this match because they were blowing it like all over the place. I did not care for that whistle.
I didn't notice it at all.
Really? I noticed it a few times.
I was watching with headphones though, so it was in my face. And I got very tired of that very early. So Christian pulls Eugene off the apron as Regal's going for a tag, and Eugene decides that he's going to get involved and try and come into the ring to save his buddy Regal, but all this does is allow a ref distraction, which allows both heels to come in and beat up on Regal for a little bit. And then Tomko and Regal kind of have this awkward headbutt collision, and so both men are down. Regal goes for a tag, but he goes for the wrong corner because his bell's a little bit rung. Tomko takes advantage of this. Regal does eventually get the tag. The crowd is super hot for this tag. Eugene's on fire here. He's taking everybody out, and then goes for a drop kick on Tomko, immediately clutches his knee.
And on the launch, he blows his knee out.
Yeah, things get awkward for a minute. They throw Tomko and Christian throw Regal out of the ring, and then we get a tight grabbing roll-up abruptly to end the match. Turns out Eugene dislocated his patellar and his kneecap, and that is the end of the match. The faces do retain. It went 12 and a half minutes. This was a really fun match up until the end. It's unfortunate to see somebody get injured, and it looked to be a pretty bad injury at the time, and it was. And it kind of just the match just kind of ended really abruptly. But what we got was fun. I still gave it a 3-star grade because I did enjoy what we got. I loved the story work and I loved the character work between all the guys in the match. So I gave it 3 stars.
I gave it 3 stars. I don't know if you mentioned this when I was looking for that Eugene shirt, but he did some JYD, Junkyard Dog offense. And with the headbutts and the pretending the peon Christian was hilarious. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was really fun. So he had the injury, and they made William Regal defend the tag team title belts by teaming with Jonathan Coachman at a house show, and he lost the belts to La Resistance. And then Regal would end up winning the belts back with Tajiri like a month later.
Classic.
Eugene would be out for about 6-7 months. You would see him at WrestleMania, though, and get attacked by Muhammad. Yep, 21. And Muhammad Hassan and Daivari would attack him, leading to the return to WWE by Hulk Hogan.
Nice.
As it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
So I gave this one 2 3/4 stars. I just had to knock it. It was a 3-star match until he busted his knee.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's unfortunate. You can't really fault that. I mean, that's just a freak accident. You can't fault the superstars. But obviously it affects what you're seeing. And the roll-up finish felt a lot to me. Obviously not the same extremity of injury, but when Owen Hart dropped Austin...
Yeah.
And so Owen just kind of had to sell, jeering the crowd until Austin could get the weakest roll-up I've ever seen.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Pretty similar. So, but
Tomko wouldn't go down at first either.
No, we got a Tomko
and he had
full
to grab
moon.
the tights.
Yeah. And Eugene had to do the like pulling the tights thing.
But I will say, as we kind of stated before, Nick Dinsmore deserves a ton of credit. Owned the heck out of this gimmick.
Yeah.
Eugene's hot to trot here, and Regal looks really good too.
Yeah.
Oh, and Christian too.
Yes. Well, pretty much everyone that met. Tomko even looked all things considered.
Yeah. You know, Tomko was never the greatest worker in the world. Like,
he was
obviously,
competent, though.
But he was not bad.
No,
I do have to say, I feel like he's someone that you would absolutely adore.
I always liked him just because I like
you're a Matt Morgan fan. You're Nathan. Well, no, not Nathan.
I don't
Jones.
like Nathan Jones.
Who else?
Gene Snitsky.
Yep. We're gonna get into that.
Well, he's not good here.
But Tom, you're not a big Tomko mark.
I like Tomko, but I would have rather him just stay as a bodyguard for most of his career.
Yeah. As a Diesel, yeah.
But he did have a decent run in TNA as well. Like his matches there, he got really decent. I don't want to say he got good, but he got very decent.
Had a good match at Lockdown in one of those chaotic Lockdown handcuff matches.
I believe him and AJ Styles won the tag team belts.
Oh, really?
I'll double check.
So yeah, I will say 2 3/4. But with that injury, it kind of gave you the feeling that this was snake bit from the start. This whole pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I went to see something like that in the opening match. Hopefully, we wouldn't get any more. Knock on wood.
He was a one-time tag team champion with AJ Styles.
Nice, good call. So after this, we get a cutaway completely out of nowhere to WWE Diva Search contestant Christy Hemme
poolside,
walking on a poolside on a Puerto Rican resort. So we get our first bosom shots of the
Jerry the King Lawler loves it when she takes the twins out for a walk.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and that was it. You got one shot and goodbye.
But let me tell you, young Christy Hemme, man.
We'll see you. I know you got a thing for Christy Hemme. So goodbye, Christy Hemme. Thank you. We'll see you in a few minutes. Backstage, Tomko and Christian are angry, and I love. So Tomko's like, poor guy, like decent worker, not a very good actor, because he's trying to be mad that they lost these titles, and he's just like grunting, and it's like not convincing. He's like, oh, dang it, and it cracked me up. And then they run into Edge, and Edge is like, I got an idea, and then Christian's like, I don't trust you anymore. Tomko, sick him, and then Edge kind of backs him down, and he's like, I got an idea, just follow me. And it
involves the world title.
It involves the world title. Come with me, and they walk off together.
You know, we see this pay off here, But I wish this would have gone on longer, where like
Yeah.
Edge and Christian were kind of like back in cahoots with
Yeah.
Tomko. Like, I don't know.
I think they've done something with it.
I just love the
ENC and T and something.
nice. I just love the Tomko kick his ass.
Yeah, he's gonna sick his dog on him, and then I love something else.
It's more of a goat than a dog.
True. The goat. He's a goat.
No, he's got the Billy
Oh
goat.
yeah. And then I loved something about this that I liked too was like commentary, particularly JR was like devastated that Christian and Edge walked off together. He couldn't believe it. He was stumbling over his word. JR had a rough night. Like can we just get that off the top?
Oh, it was rough.
Yeah.
He had a
did.
rough night, and he couldn't find. He was speechless over this this Edge.
But
segment.
at the same time, don't really blame him
no.
as this event progresses.
And then after that, we get a video package hyping up the women's championship match, and this.
Yikes.
Oh Lord, this storyline was everywhere. So a little background: Lita and Kane famously got married on TV after Lita got pregnant with Kane's child.
Yikes.
Pause.
Which I don't remember. I don't remember how the impregnation actually happened.
Sex.
They had sex, Luke.
No, I thought it was the stork. No, so like what led up to Kane? Like,
I
was
don't
it just
remember.
super random? Do you guys remember?
I don't know.
Probably.
How did he get with Katie Vick?
Yeah, Kane can score some lookers. Though.
Yeah, dude, he got Katie Vick and
wasn't-
Lita. And
so,
wasn't he with Tori for a little bit too?
He
Like
was
not
with
Tori Wilson,
He
but
was
with
with Tori.
Tori.
Like the Xbox Tori.
Yeah.
So that happened, and that'll come in a lot later. So Trish Stratus makes fun of Lita for being pregnant and fat. Okay.
That shows up at her wedding wearing white.
Yeah, shows up at her wedding wearing white because she can't.
because
apparently.
Lita's wearing black.
Yeah, and then
She's marrying
Snitsky
Kane.
happened, and then Trish makes fun of her for losing
Whoa,
the
whoa,
baby.
whoa,
You forgot about Snitsky punting the baby into the crowd.
Yeah, you're just gonna say Snitsky happened.
Well, I was
You're
going to get
try
into it
give
later. I was going to get into it later a little bit.
Yeah, but you got to realize Snitsky might have had the funniest storyline of all time.
So Gene Snitsky, we'll just get into it now.
Funniest time.
Because it kind of ties into everything.
Dude, he kicked a toy baby
saw that
into
he
the
did- I
crowd.
remember he punted.
So Gene Snitsky, of course, if you haven't heard of the storyline, it's what he's most known for.
It
in the
wasn't his
company.
fault.
So there's an angle where Lita and Kane were in the ring having a marital discussion, and Snitsky came with a chair, hit Kane. Kane fell on top of Lita, and very famously, Lita miscarried and ended up in the hospital for several weeks. And Snitsky would kind of like take this and run with it, and the whole "it wasn't my fault." He would carry like a toy baby around, and of course he
Like a carriage.
punted it into the crowd at one point.
Good stuff.
Oh boy! So that's kind of the basis of the storyline. Oh, and then Snitsky collapsed Kane's lungs for some reason, collapsed his throat with a chair, and so Trish Stratus gave Lita the moniker of the Kiss of Death because everything she touches dies, being Kane's throat and her
Didn't
baby.
Lita then kiss her?
Did she? It's possible.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they showed it in the video package,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
remember
I didn't see
Lita
that.
kissing
So that's kind of the
Trish.
setup. It's a grudge match. Oh, and Lita won the championship on Raw. Almost killed herself in the process on a suicide dive, which they made sure to
Landing on
replay
her
2 or
head,
3
yeah.
times. Landed directly on her head.
I just know that as soon as this video started, I was like, oh god, the
Yeah.
Lita miscarriage. I go, no.
This is like, so people talk about like all-time bad Kane feuds. Like, so
This
obviously
was
Katie
it.
Vick's number one. How is this not like? How do people not talk about this more? Because this is terrible.
Because there was fake Kane with Festus playing fake Kane, or Luke Gallows
yeah,
playing fake
True,
Kane.
that's true. That's true.
There
Yeah,
was literally no miscarriage.
There was like every other year
There
Kane
was
was in
no-
a really bad feud.
There was no miscarriage angle that ever worked, and they and companies tried multiple times.
Oh yeah.
and I
Oh,
blame
constantly.
it all on Vincent Russo.
It was probably his fault here.
I feel like he did the first one. To be honest.
So that's kind of the setup for this match. It's very much a grudge match between these two ladies, and I find it funny that like directly after we have a very objectifying segment with women, like now we're supposed to like buy them as real competitors because they're gonna
They
have
are.
a match here. I know they are. It's
Christy
just
Hami's a real competitor. Damn it.
it's just the dichotomy was interesting to me.
I was just giving you shit, dude.
Oh, I know. So we do have Trish Stratus versus Lita, who of course is the champion for the women's championship. Dude, Lita's song, I forgot how lit Lita's entrance song was.
Oh yeah, and the crowd was nuts.
I was just headbanging listening to this. So Lita comes out. She's very over. Trish is not very over. She's very much booed. So the bell rings. They stare each other down for a while. There's a Lita takedown, and then Lita dumps Trish outside. And then Lita goes for a Luthes press on the outside.
Immediately, yeah.
She jumps, and on the way down, folds her knee very awkwardly. She's very hurt. She does finish the match.
Well, she like lands on her. She should have landed on her knees, but she like landed on her feet.
Yeah.
and just jacked her knee.
So
up.
her knee bent very awkwardly.
She tore her ACL.
She does get back into the ring, and she's able to finish the match, but she can't stand. She's in the corner just taking a beating, basically. And then the chick kick gets hit, And in about 4 minutes, just under 4 minutes, Trish Stratus is the new women's champion. This match obviously was shortened because of injury. It pretty much just became a squash match for Trish Stratus because Lita's injured knee. She couldn't continue. I have to give the match 0.25 stars. I can't give it anything better than that.
Okay.
Because it just it wasn't a match. It's really unfortunate. Again, at this point, I'm with you. This is a snake bitten pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's just like what else could
the
go
first
wrong?
2 matches end with a leg injury, a knee injury even. Big bummer. 0.25 stars.
I actually gave it a 1. I don't know. I thought the crowd was so hyped that it actually helped. I felt bad for Lita, and I don't want to give Lita like a bad grade because she like tried to fight through this leg injury. So I mean, I felt she tried really hard, and I thought Trish did her thing. So I gave it a 1. It's sad. Lita would show back up also around WrestleMania 21 to coach and mentor Christy Hemme to face Trish Stratus.
All right.
So I actually also gave it a 1 for the pretty much the same reason as Kyle.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, love you. The fact that they were able to continue that match for like what 2 or 3 more minutes.
It was
after
like 2
that.
more minutes. Yeah.
The fact that they were able to even continue that, and Lita was able to try to get up, and
Can't say she's not tough.
Yeah, so they actually had somewhat of a clean finish with the chick kick. You
Yeah.
know? So I did have to give it a 1. Lita ended up tearing her ACL, was the official injury, but you could tell that Lita was supposed to go over here.
Yeah.
She was supposed to defend because they mildly, and I don't know if you guys missed this, but they mildly mentioned, oh yeah, and with that win, Trish Stratus broke the WWE record for women's
6
title
times.
reigns.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sucks because something historical like that for Trish was just like, yeah, by the way, whatever.
It was a bummer. It was a bummer for sure.
But they did kind of sell it. Sorry, I don't want to keep.
Oh, you're fine.
But King kind of sold it, was saying, this is what happens when you do high risk.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing. Was like, what foreshadowing throughout this whole match, because Lita's whole way down to the entrance ramp, it was like she's gonna kill herself one of these days. She's gonna get injured. She's reckless. She doesn't care about her body. And then right off the bat,
told
gets
you
an
so.
injury. Yeah. So after that, we do get
Jericho warming up in the back.
Yep, and then but even more importantly,
luscious locks.
we get Maria Kanellis at poolside.
Well, this time she was Maria.
Kanellis.
Was she?
Yeah.
Really?
Kanellis is her last name, not Mike's.
Yeah. She took Mike Bennett took her last name in the
That's
storyline.
right, because WWE did that thing where they made him Mike Kanellis.
Yeah. So you
weird.
can
Mike
see her
Bennett.
in a bikini.
You're right.
Thank you for that, WWE. Okay,
Young-
so
young
after that,
Maria.
backstage, Eric Bischoff is speaking to Edge, and we immediately get the payoff for what that plan was. So the whole story is Edge wants out of the chamber match, and he wants to insert Christian in his place, and as a trade-off, he would be able to face the winner of the Elimination Chamber match the next night on Raw, because he is convinced that HBK will not referee this match fairly.
And Christian's all for this.
Yeah, and Christian's like, yeah, let's do this. Of course, Eric Bischoff shoots it down. He says, hey,
We got sponsors.
yeah, we got sponsors, we got TV time. And he says, if you would have never have speared HBK through a table, maybe, things would be different.
This is so weird because Eric's a heel here, but he's like,
He came off as a babyface this entire show.
yeah, it was
Yes.
really weird.
And he also just looked weird. He had a buzz
like his
cut.
buzz-
That's after Eugene shaved his head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
And his acting was just kind of. I mean, it was just a weird
it was fine.
spot.
So Edge
Okay,
leaves.
yeah, sorry.
It was fine. And so Edge leaves and immediately runs into Sean. Sean, says, don't worry, I'm going to call it right down the middle.
Unless you hit me.
Unless you hit me, unless I'm provoked, and I will respond physically. If not, I'll count uno, dos, tres. The crowd pops. Huge.
But then Sean says, but I hope you lose.
And then he walks off. And that's that. I thought that was a nice little, planting a little seed for the main event. I liked the segment a lot.
Planting the seed like Kane in Lita.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So a couple things with this. I will say I liked Bischoff's GM character because he acted like the executive producer that he was. Just those weird little nuances like, hey, we've got sponsors, we've got ratings, we got this stuff to worry about. That no GM really cared or said anything about that on air until Eric started doing that. So I like that he kind of owned his own thing. Also, right before that little interview, they were showing like the Puerto Rican cars going down just this one lane. Narrow street,
like the brick road.
brick roads. Yeah, and
Jerry
Lawler says, "How about the drivers? Oh man, all you need to be able to do to get a driver's license is honk the horn."
Yeah. I caught that. That was great.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, go ahead.
So after that, we do get to our next match, and oh boy, buckle up for this. We get Shelton Benjamin, who is the IC champion, versus Maven, and this is for the Intercontinental title. Setting this up, Maven got a win over Shelton clean, right?
Yeah.
On Raw And so that's how he earned the title. It kind of bugs me, like the angles when you have to beat the champion to get a shot at the championship. But it seemed to be kind of like a natural thing here where like it wasn't for the contendership specifically.
Well,
he just got the win, and it was like, well, you
and
might
the
as well
champion,
wrestle
in
him
my
now.
opinion, the champion should be protected to an extent.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But that is the story going in. So the match starts. Both men are trying to kind of out wrestle each other in the beginning, which kind of tough to do when you're wrestling Shelton Benjamin, to be honest. Maven rolls outside to kind of catch his breath. Gets a lot of heat from the crowd. They call him the F word in Spanish, and then the crowd hated Maven, by the way.
Yeah, they called him some homophobic slurs.
He had some serious heat.
So then he grabs the mic, stops the match, grabs the mic, sets up a chair, stands on it, tells the ref to not count. He obliges for some reason.
I was wondering that too. I was like, okay,
I guess I'll listen to you, man. And Shelton like doesn't do anything.
He's just kind of annoyed.
So the match stops.
Like me.
And Maven just starts cutting a promo on this crowd, but he doesn't even really say anything. He just like mocks them for speaking
He
Spanish.
just gets racist.
Yeah. And
it was cringy at best.
It was worse than cringy. And so then he gets right up in some lady's face, and they had to cut the mic off because they were worried that or it was a guy. They were worried that he was gonna like cuss out, I think.
Or that she was going to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they cut the mic off, and then he gets back on the chair, and he says, I need to concentrate, but I can't do it with you guys speaking all this gibberish. And even Jerry Lawler had to get involved. And he's like, well, I think it's called Spanish. Like, oh, that was so cringy. Like, you know when Jerry Lawler is
Has to
defending
correct your PC.
Yeah.
I love Jerry Lawler. He was cracking me up this whole show.
Then
he tells them to calla sus bocas, which
means shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, the match is still going. The bell is rung. This match is happening. So then Maven's like, I'm not going to fight you today. I'm leaving. And then my favorite line of the whole pay-per-view, I'm going to wait to fight you till we're in the United States of America. Newsflash, pal. Technically, you're in the United States of America and Puerto Rico, buddy.
Yeah.
The 51st state.
So then he walks off. Not yet. He walks off.
Still not, yeah.
Just before he gets counted out, runs back to the ring, gets rolled up, and the bell rings, and Shelton Benjamin wins the first of their matches. I'm just gonna wait and do the time all together here. So Maven like walks down the ramp, and then he grabs the mic again, and he says, "That's not fair. That didn't count. Let's do this again." He goes back. Oh, and he literally calls Shelton Benjamin a woman, and that's what like makes Shelton Benjamin
and then says he has no huevos.
Yes. And so that makes Shelton so mad. He gets back in the ring, hits him with the T-bone suplex, wins again. This whole segment went 7.5 minutes. Shelton Benjamin retains twice, technically. 0 stars. It was horrible. One of the worst men's matches I've ever seen.
I put down pure shite.
It really was.
I gave it a half star because of the T-bone suplex.
It was a good looking T-bone suplex.
Yeah, and Shelton's theme song's awesome. And Maven's
Ain't no stopping me now.
And so was Maven's, even though they dubbed over it with something, and then they actually played it in the video package, though. So
see, I could have swore I heard at least the instrumental that was actually his.
No, it was different. There's piano in his dubbed over thing.
Yeah, this was terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know if one of the guys were working injured, maybe, or what. But this was just so bizarre.
It was so stupid.
It was so dumb.
And
it was a waste of time.
My girlfriend was sitting next to me watching this, and she was just like, so after these 2 matches that were just unfortunately just destroyed, so the crowd's already just like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
You're going to follow it up with that. I mean, you could at least called an audible and had something.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously had a ton of extra time now.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's probably what it was.
Even with an elimination chamber match, it still went short.
No, but what I'm saying is you have more time that you could have given this an actual match.
Yeah.
Because you had Christian's match over early and the Lita Trish match over early.
Over way early, I'd assume.
Yeah, so after that, back to the Divas. We get Christy Hemme getting suntan lotioned up by what's her name?
Candice Michelle.
Thank you. At poolside.
And then we have Chris Benoit warming up.
And that was terrible. Yep, Chris Benoit's getting pumped for the main event backstage. And then now we get a flashback to Monday Night Raw where there was a debate about Muslim people, and that's true, where Muhammad Hassan was debating Jerry the King Lawler. Was it Lawler or JR he was debating?
It was Lawler.
Okay, that's what I thought. And
which is weird because
It was both of them, wasn't it? They were both in the ring.
well, JR just stood by him kind of like Daivari.
it didn't end well, as you can imagine, and both JR and the King got beat up by Daivari and Hassan, which sets up this match between Jerry Lawler and Muhammad Hassan. Before we get into everything, can I just talk about Muhammad Hassan for a second?
Oh, I'd love to. I love Muhammad Hassan.
Muhammad Hassan had the potential to be
a world champion.
Not only that, he had the potential to be like a truly kind of a game changer for how you portray a foreign heel.
Yes.
Because he kind of had a point.
Always
he did.
had a
Yeah,
His
point.
whole
he always
character
did.
was based around racial prejudice and being treated differently
Badly,
because of his race
And-
and his religion.
And think of the guys he worked with right off the bat.
Yeah.
His debut came, like his TV debut came with Mick Foley.
Yep.
His first match came against Jerry Lawler. He had matches against Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan, Chris Benoit, the Hurricane. He went over the SmackDown and had matches with The Undertaker and Batista.
Yeah.
Like this guy was on the fast track to success.
And if it wasn't for the whole London bombing situation right around the unfortunate kind of terrorist storyline with The Undertaker, you could still be looking at who's Muhammad Hassan in this
Top heel.
industry today.
And then they kept kicking themselves in the ass because then they had Hassan like, they're not terrorists, they're just my friends. And it's like, oh, stop. You're making things worse, WWE. Just don't show the video next time.
Yeah, it got unfortunate, but this whole first few months of his character was so interesting, and it was so nuanced, which is in WWE terms when you're talking about a foreign heel is very rare.
I do love.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I do love how they made him like a Muslim, even though he was Italian.
Well, yeah.
True.
But
yeah, and I just think it was so interesting. And then of course backstage they got a promo, and they're even talking about even here in Puerto Rico we're being treated differently, and it's so interesting because he's drawing heat by basically saying I'm treated unfairly, and it's showing how hypocritical these crowds are, right?
Yeah.
Because they're booing him because he's telling him he's been being treated unfairly. It was brilliant and so ahead of its time.
It was really smart too because I don't know, it made the crowd the bad guy in a way when you go back and look at it.
Exactly.
It makes the faces heels kind of.
Well, it's kind of like you were saying the Iron. So it's like old Iron Sheik foreign heel was, Iran #1, USA Haktui,
and Muhammad Hassan was like, I want to live here, but you're treating me unfairly.
He's originally his whole gimmick is he is an Iranian American. He was born in America.
Yeah. It could have been, man. It's just thinking.
Yeah. So even in this promo, he has a great point about Puerto Rico. They're not even considered a state. They're just a commonwealth, and
even still
they can't vote. And,
Yeah.
And what's funny is it's not funny. It's actually terrible. But this kind of ages in our current situation with the recent hurricane, the huge storm in Puerto Rico, and the lack of support they received, and how they were just treated like second-class citizens.
So basically, Hassan saying you guys should be on our side, and even still, my hotel reservations disappeared. My wallet, or Dewari's wallet, got stolen.
You were detained in the airport for 3 hours in Puerto Rico. Yeah,
it was just really interesting. It's a shame it never worked out the way it did. But we have a match to talk about. Which is Muhammad Hassan.
And it's a shame this didn't work out the way it should have.
And it's Muhammad Hassan with Daivari in his corner versus Jerry Lawler with Jim Ross in his corner.
Can I make a point before this match starts?
Please.
Why the hell did they not have Eric Bischoff or Jonathan Coachman come out here and just commentate through the match?
Yeah, so you may have noticed that I said it's Jerry Lawler and JR in this match. Well, JR's
outside the ring,
ringside.
Which was not necessary.
No, not at all, because he did almost nothing. He did one thing.
Well, it made sense because they both got hit on the Raw.
So you may be thinking, that's both of the announce crew members for Monday Night Raw. Who's going to announce this match? I'll tell you what, nobody. No one. This is if any match on this card desperately needed announcing.
Yes,
this was the match that needed it.
I just don't know why Coach and Al Snow, the Heat announcers, weren't out there.
Anybody,
or you could even throw in Hurricane and Rosie out there.
Taz and Styles, they were probably backstage. Throw the ECW announcers out there.
Okay.
Or no, ECW wasn't a thing
around yet.
Yeah, it wasn't
Michael Cole and Taz, dang it.
They probably weren't there because this was a Raw only show.
No, they were there. Get Taz out there.
Or Eric Bischoff and Coach.
Also should mention that Jerry Lawler is 55 years old
at this point.
55 years young, Luke.
But he's got the body probably of a 70-year-old.
No.
He looked good here.
He had a heart attack 2 years after this on TV.
Bro, he had a heart attack 5 years later.
Yeah, that was actually way
That was 2012.
Was it really?
We need to get your timeline back in shape, pal.
I'm out of control. Let's get into this match. So there's no commentary, which is the first thing I noticed. So there are a bunch of scoop slams to begin this match from Hassan to Lawler. Lawler falls out of the ring on the last one, and he gets sent into the corner. He fights back with the clothesline. Don't get used to any offense by Lawler here. Hassan gets outside the ring, gets in JR's face, which allows Lawler to get one strike and one strike only in. It doesn't last long because Hassan fights back immediately. He removes the turnbuckle pad. The ref puts it back, which causes him to miss a pinfall attempt because Jerry went for a roll-up. Ref didn't see it. in time, counts for 2. Jerry gets sent shoulder first into the exposed turnbuckle for a near fall. Then there's a long camel clutch sequence to Lawler. Daivari, the whole match was just like, he was the commentary for this match.
Yeah.
He clearly had a live mic on him or near him because you could just hear him just chirping and chatting this whole time. I kind of liked it.
I did
to
too.
be fair.
I did too.
He had a kind of him and JR kept bickering back and forth, and it was pretty funny.
He told him to shut up, you fat Oklahoma slob once. Funny.
And then after that, we get a couple boring chants. There's a suplex to Hassan by Lawler. And then the crowd boos a near fall attempt here, I noticed. And I think they're maybe booing because the match didn't end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a running knee to Lawler for a near fall, and then a neck breaker for another Hassan near fall. Lawler hulks up a little bit. He drop kicks Hassan. Nice drop kick, by the way,
Very nice
for a
drop kick.
55-year-old man.
Yes.
And there's a second rope fist drop by Lawler for a near fall here to Hassan. And then a nice looking DDT to Hassan.
Spiked him.
Yeah, a nice spiked DDT. And then Daivari puts Hassan's leg on the rope for a near fall after the DDT. Lawler doesn't like that and then just chases Daivari like all over the place like a Benny Hill segment. JR gets involved.
He rips his hat off and puts up his dukes.
Nothing comes of that because Daivari runs into the ring. Lawler chases him, which causes enough of a diversion that Hassan hits. What's his finisher called?
The reverse STO.
Yep.
Okay, he hits the reverse STO. And that's the end. That was a 10-minute match. That was one of the longest matches on the card, by the way.
It was almost 11. It was 10:51.
This was a really bad match. It would have been bad with commentary, but without commentary, it just drug on.
Once again, to Kyle's point earlier, I think that they drug it out longer than it needed to just because they had time to fill.
So I didn't like this match at all. Like, I really hated this match a lot. And just like, I love the fact, I don't love it, but it was so silly, I have to bring it up, that they had to do a screw job finish, not a screw job finish, but kind of a screwy finish in the match. Because like for some reason they couldn't just let Hassan beat Lawler clean. They had to have this whole distraction at the end of the match.
I know that I get a lot of crap for this, for trying to like use a lot more logic in these matches, but it's like, how does the King put up with so much offense from Hassan and kick out every time?
Because
and
he's
take
the king,
like these
dog.
big snap neck breakers.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just felt like he
that's fair.
realistically took away too much offense.
I give the match 0.5. So that was like a 3 stretch of matches where I was not having a good time. Maybe that affected my rating of this match a little bit, but I didn't find anything to enjoy besides the dropkick and the DDT by Lawler.
I gave it a 1 just because of the drop kick and because JR was cracking me up when he ripped off his hat and said, put up your dukes. But he didn't say that. I said that. But I love the Hassan character and I love Jerry Lawler, but this was just bad. It was too long and it was the no commentary really killed it.
Yep.
You know what it reminded me of in like kind of an offhand way, but it was done so much better. Do you guys remember recently when they had McIntyre just take Angle apart on Raw?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminded me of that, but it just wasn't done nearly as well.
No, because I don't know. Jerry Lawler, I love Jerry the King Lawler, but it just didn't seem like, I don't know, it seemed like he was carrying the match, and you shouldn't have a 55-year-old carrying the match. I think Hassan was a little too green at this point.
Oh yeah, well they shoved him right out
that's
there.
possible.
Yeah, he was only
this was his debut.
Yeah,
right?
he was only down in OVW too for like not very long.
Yeah,
They must have had the idea, and they're like, "We got to get him up now."
This is his in-ring debut. Gave it 5 stars. Or excuse me.
Whoa.
Whoa. Oh yeah, this is the greatest match of all time.
Jeez.
No, I gave it 0.5
Okay.
stars. I did enjoy something we didn't mention here.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Daivari, as he's scurrying through the ring, loses his jacket.
Yeah, Lawler
and
grabs
then
the
Lawler
jacket.
grabs the jacket, throws it at him, and Daivari sells it like he just got shot.
Oh yeah, I love that.
So
I forgot about that.
That was pretty great. And a little bit of trivia for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Both Muhammad Hassan and his trainer, the person who trained him, were both on this card. You want to take a guess on who that was? You won't.
Okay. Who is it?
Val Venus.
Val Venus wasn't on the card.
Yes, he was.
Nick Dinsmore.
Really?
Eugene.
Okay.
Oh, I
trained
should have got
Muhammad
that. He
Hassan.
was an OVW trainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, man. Jeez.
I just said Val Venus because he was in a chicken fight.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so after this, Batista's interviewed backstage. Immediately, Randy Orton crashes it. So the whole Evolution, Randy Orton being exiled from Evolution for winning the title
Is a mystery.
has recently occurred. So basically, Orton calls Batista Triple H's stooge. He's trying to open Batista's eyes and make him realize that the only thing Evolution is good for is Triple H winning the title, and you're just his lackey, basically. Batista doesn't buy it and says, "Hey, at the end of the day, the only thing I'm worrying about is winning that world title tonight in the Elimination Chamber."
Moral of the story here: don't trust trips.
So then Coach comes out to join JR on commentary, and JR again is just devastated by this.
Well, Coach just starts making fun of him for
Instantly.
losing. Yeah.
Instantly.
Which, this is why Coach's like return didn't work as well, because he had no character.
He was so dull, and like when you watch old school Coach, like from this era,
He's
when
hilarious.
Like, total top heel Coach. Like he's so smug and like he's such a dick, but like in a funny way. And when he came back, he was nothing.
Well, and he always had like a superior to
Yeah.
be the lackey for, and also be a really good trash talker.
So that was that.
And then they went outside the show around the arena.
My favorite part of this whole show, by the way. So they cut to like an out. It was a bad shot, to be fair. So they cut to like the camera's like angled up on like some pine trees, and
Some palm trees.
was it a palm tree?
Yeah, they were palm
JR
trees.
could not make sense of what he was seeing.
He's like, oh gee, what's this? Some palm trees in San Jose.
And then like they like pan down to see the arena. JR is just trying to make sense of this. So palms, we're in San Jose, we're in San Juan, and then it's just like come back to the arena quickly. Poor that crack. JR could not make sense of what he was seeing. He was flabbergasted by that. I just thought that was so funny. The poor guy.
And then we segue into this is going to be ugly, like many of Coach's women.
Yeah, so they're talking about the Kane versus Snitsky match, which is up next, and JR just like totally nonchalantly just drops this line. This will be ugly, like a lot of Coach's women. Coach didn't even get to have a comeback because JR just kept talking.
No, JR, it's so funny. It's almost like he was shoot pissed.
I loved it
after Coach just picked on him.
Yeah.
Really teased him.
I loved how he said that whole when Coach first joined the booth to that line was just like, I was enjoying myself. And then, so after that, no bikini segment here. Sorry, Luke.
Well, no, because it led right into a miscarriage storyline again.
Yeah. So then we get the video package going over how Snitsky caused Lita to miscarry again. And that's the genesis.
Fault.
So Kane is just coming back. This is his first match back from his throat injury that he received by Snitsky.
Which I don't think he put a chair around his neck and came off from the top rope. And
yeah. So I feel like, so this whole it's funny, this whole video package had the tale of two Snitskys, because it was the one Snitsky who's like, I don't want anything to do with this, it wasn't my fault, just leave me alone. And then the other Snitsky who's certainly doesn't shy away from making fun of them for losing their baby at this in the same breath.
No, dude, poor Snitsky. He got booked terribly.
Oh yeah.
They made this dude punt a damn baby.
Yeah. So
that
Kane,
was awesome.
So Kane is back for vengeance.
Wasn't awesome.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen on TV.
It was hilarious, but it wasn't
it was so bad it was good.
It was a parody.
Yeah, but it was so awesome.
It wasn't intentionally
he
hilarious.
legit took a baby doll and punted it. It was the best thing I've ever seen.
A mile in the crowd.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
This was one of the things that really made me stop watching a lot of WWE.
Snitsky kicking the baby?
Just Snitsky in general. I couldn't stand him.
Did you like him when he came back to ECW?
He was bad.
No.
When he had yellow teeth?
No. Can we get into the match?
Yes.
Kane versus Gene Snitsky. God, guys, Slow Chemical, Kane's entrance song at the time. That song slaps.
Hey, I saw something the other day, which licensed theme song
No
was
Way
your
Jose.
favorite? Is Slow Chemical up there for you?
It's way up there. I love this song.
It's probably I got a 3-way tie for first.
Let's hear it.
Slow Chemical by
Finger 11.
Finger 11 for Kane. Cult of Personality
Oh yeah, that's up there for me
for
too.
CM Punk. And can you guys guess the last one? Luke should be able to guess this one.
Rollin'.
Yep, by
Rollin'
Limp
by Limp
Bizkit,
Bizkit.
baby.
Those are all three are up there for me. Chris Benoit's song is way up
Whatever
there for
by
me.
Our Lady Peace.
Yeah, that's up there for me too. There's no holding me back.
Oh, and X Factor by the old X Factor theme song that was sung by Uncle Cracker. Yeah.
So I've actually got I've got a couple different. So Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. Colt's Personality. I think Colton Personality for me is number one. But oh God, I lost it.
The Edge one by Alter Bridge?
Yes, yeah. Oh no. The Edge one by Rob Zombie.
Oh yeah, both the Rob Zombie and the Alter Bridge ones are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Rob Zombie.
What do you guys think of Ronda's entrance song now?
Oh, I love it too.
Fits her.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, that was her UFC theme song
Should we
forever.
Should we talk about this match, guys? This was a really boring match, but I think
I will say both these guys look good.
Yeah, I think I overrated this
physically.
match because it was a real match, and we hadn't had one of those in a while on this card. So there's a big clothesline to Snitsky to start things off, followed by a scoop slam, and then Kane got air on this leg drop, and it wasn't he didn't get a running start or anything. He just leaped leg drop on Snitsky. That was really impressive.
Dude, he's an underrated athlete.
Yeah.
He comes off the top rope for a clothesline.
Yeah, there's
All
a
the
Kane
time.
power slam for a near fall, and then a sidewalk slam to Kane. Snitsky, I cannot say that, goes outside. He removes the padding to reveal the concrete below on the ground. Immediately gets back body dropped onto it.
Ouch.
And then both men get back into the ring. Kane goes up top. He goes for a move, but Snitsky counters it with a kick to the gut. And then Snitsky stretches out Kane like across the ring post, kind of like a surfboard style move.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And then Coach, I like this part because Coach is selling the crowd's disinterest as disbelief. Like, the crowd is not into this match, right? And,
Nope.
And Coach is like, this crowd is just so devastated they can't even talk. And I just like that. I was like,
Coach is hilarious, man.
smooth Coach. He knew what he was saying.
See, I actually felt like Coach wasn't very good in this match. I felt
He ended up saying some kind of
some
weird things.
stuff that was
the
just
line
like,
that really
okay.
made me confused was he was talking about, red on Kane's tights. That's, rust.
That.
It's rust. And that's what Kane is, a little rusty. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's something he would have said this year when he was on the Raw commentary.
No, that's literally when I was like, Coach is sucking right now.
And then he said something. The other thing he said that I noticed, and it wasn't untrue, but it was just poorly timed. He was talking about how both of these guys are such great athletes, which is true, but he said it during a double down. Because he said, man, these guys are both great athletes. They just keep going and going and going. And as he's saying that, both guys are down. So it was a true statement, just poorly timed. So I like that, but that was a good line by Coach.
Good stuff,
Yeah,
Coach.
and there's a
Also,
series of strikes. Oh, go ahead.
Kane's elbow pads just keep falling off throughout this
There's
whole
like
match.
black gunk under them, too. Did you notice that?
I don't even.
I didn't notice
It's
that.
There was like some black goo under his
I
elbow
bet.
pads.
I bet you.
Elbow
that-
grease, dude.
I bet. Nice. Wow.
We high-fived if you're wondering.
I bet you like they have some adhesive to actually keep. Those
That's
on.
what I was guessing. Yeah.
Great fist bump worked that time.
Yeah. So there's a series of strikes to Snitsky, and then choke slam teased by Kane. He doesn't get it though. Snitsky fights it off with a scoop slam, and then Kane sits up, and then Snitsky kicks him. Kane sits up. Snitsky kicks him. Kane sits up. Snitsky kicks him. It takes 4 kicks to keep Kane down.
Can I get a recording of you just saying Snitsky kicks him?
Snitsky kicks him. He doesn't get up this time. So it takes 4. If you're wondering how many kicks it takes to have Kane not get up, it's 4. 4 kicks, approximately 3 kicks and a scoop slam, and he won't get up again. Kane gets thrown into the steps very hard on the outside. Snitsky grabs a chair. Kane gets a big boot and fights him off. Apparently Snitsky was just going for the DQ here. He didn't care. Which makes sense, I guess, for his character. Sidewalk slam to Snitsky by Kane. The classic Kane sidewalk slam, followed by a big boot. This is when I noticed Kane's boot was kind of starting to come off a little bit.
He was just having wardrobe malfunctions,
He was.
dude.
Not a big deal, but I mean, this is kind of silly looking. So Kane goes up top, hits a nice flying clothesline. The crowd suddenly becomes alive at that spot. And then a hot shot to Kane, stuns him on the top rope, and then a stiff ass clothesline by Snitsky. Kane teases the choke slam, and then Snitsky does, so they have their hands on each other's throat. Snitsky fights out of it and then bites Kane in the ear. Tyson Holyfield style, and then Kane hits a tombstone kind of out of nowhere for the win. Match went 12 minutes. I said this was the second best match of the night at this point, which is true. I gave it 2.25. I thought it was a decent little match. It was nice to see a real wrestling match after everything else we'd gotten to this point, and nobody got hurt, which is great.
I gave it a 2. I thought it was a decent brawl at some points, decent big man match, and the tombstone out of nowhere was kind of cool.
It was awesome.
Like Kane bringing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he not finish with the tombstone a lot then? It was just chokeslam,
It was
basically?
just chokeslam.
He was
yeah.
usually-
And he also had a powerbomb with a pin at one point. I'm not
Yeah,
sure. How
yeah,
long that
he had
was.
I think
that.
it was pretty much after he unmasked, he didn't really use the tombstone that
He did the
often.
tombstone on like Linda McMahon on the
steps, right?
Steps, and then he might have
And
used it
probably
on
Pete
Shane.
Rose or something again.
Well, he was, yeah.
He was masked with Pete. He might have done when Pete Rose came back like a while ago, but then he did it on Shane maybe once or twice, but he never used it.
I gave this one 2 stars. Every match at this point it was just so slow.
Yeah.
Very.
I will refer to this as a heavy hitting Haas match. Pardon the alliteration.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, it was okay. There were some spots, but I just didn't have a reason to care.
Yeah, same.
Ultimately, so.
Same. It was such a bad storyline. And again, like,
It was a great storyline, kicking the baby.
no, it wasn't. This could have been, again, like, it did feel a little bit like a blood feud coming to an end. And I don't know if the storyline continued after this, but it could have been, it should have been like a Falls Count Anywhere last man standing match, Just a,
You know.
After that, it's the time of the show where we're
King's
killing.
back at commentary.
Yeah, King's back, still in his ring gear, and we're killing time because we got to get the chamber ready to go. So there's a promo for the Rise and Fall of ECW DVD, which is a great documentary. It's on the network. Watch it. I just watched it recently. And then, King's back. Coach stays, though. He stays in the middle seat there. And then we get this. So we're poolside. Stacy Keebler's there. Maria Kellis is there. Christy Hemme is there. That other lady's there.
Candice Michelle.
Thank you.
Yep.
Also, they show Candice putting oil on Christy's back.
Okay, but it was the same exact clip that they showed earlier.
It's the same clip, and then King says, hey, the last time JR touched the breast was when he was at KFC.
And then JR does this, obviously, annoyed fake laugh for, way too long. He was like, and he just kept doing
Sassafras.
it. This was so bad, guys. So the announcers are drooling all over these ladies at this point. They showed that same clip of the oil. Simon Dean shows up. He's
drinking a pineapple.
He pushes a poor guy in the pool for no reason.
I loved it
because he's
just
big.
Some guy just got see ya. And then Keebler and Venus are fighting in the pool with pool noodles. It looks like a pornography. Let's just be honest. They're just
missed the music.
Weakly hitting each other with porn noodles. Porn noodles. Pool noodles.
Good one.
A Freudian slip there. I apologize. And then, for no reason, Venus goes under the water. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm going over it very in depth. He puts Stacy Keebler on his shoulders. Chicken fight. The one part that did kind of make me chuckle, Rosie and Hurricane are in the pool, both in their full ring gear.
Yeah.
That kind of made me chuckle a little
Hurricane
bit.
swimming around. It was hilarious.
And then everyone has a chicken fight. If you don't know what that is, it's when you put someone on your shoulders and they hit each other with items.
Or
that was
their fists.
This was so terrible. So
Was this a match?
No.
Yeah, Christy and Rosie end up winning the Fatal 4-Way.
How many stars, Kyle?
0
How
stars.
many stars, Kyle?
Oh, about 3.5.
Oh, nice.
Classic.
So after that, we're almost ready for the chamber match because we have to get a video package first. And I thought this was a really nice kind of video package to kind of put a bow on everything in case you hadn't been keeping up with the storylines at the time.
And you find out Batista's going to be the last one entered because he beat Rhino in a beat the clock challenge
question.
match.
What happened if you didn't win that match?
I think the person that you're wrestling gets
The spot?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
I don't remember.
So, I don't either. So the whole so there's a few different storylines here in this match. So going back, they kind of have to go back to Randy Orton winning the world title for the first time and being excommunicated from Evolution by Triple H and Batista and Ric Flair, and they all beat him up and kind of gave Randy Orton a little babyface run. Of course, he would drop the belt back to Triple H because Reign of Terror, and then while all that's going on, Orton, there's a little bit of dissension questions happening between Batista and Triple H because maybe Batista wants to win the title, but Triple H, says, as long as you're my guy, we got each other's back, kind of manipulating Batista. And then on top of that, we have all these layers, right? On top of that, there was a match for the world title on an episode, I think it was on an episode of Raw. The end of that match happened when Edge got put in the crippler crossface by Chris Benoit. Edge rolled over. Benoit got pinned while Edge tapped out. After that happened, Triple H kind of expected that the title would just get put back on him, but Eric Bischoff says, no, you got to fight for it.
Which is another face thing a heel GM is doing.
And then he announces HBK as the guest referee, another face thing a heel GM does, which sets up for the Elimination Chamber match that we see in front of us today. Before we get to the match, there's one more thing. We're almost there. Batista and Triple H are backstage. Almost. Batista tells Triple H that he has nothing to worry about because Triple H is a little concerned about what he said to Randy.
Batista's basically saying, I faked out Randy Orton.
Exactly.
I got my poker face on.
And if you think this is all building up to Randy's redemption, Reign of Terror. So we're almost ready for the chamber match now. Yeah, we're almost ready for the chamber match now.
And then Eric comes out.
Eric comes out and he's like, this is my greatest creation, 10 tons of steel. See you later. And then he leaves.
So can I note something?
That this should be the second greatest creation of his behind the NWO? Sure.
Well, Kyle has that. But this was he's saying this is his creation when this is the 4th Elimination Chamber match in history.
Yeah, because he created the one at the 2002 Survivor Series. Yeah, he said that was his thing.
That was his thing.
But it wasn't. Was it actually?
It was his thing.
But that was his thing on TV. Was he created?
Kayfabe, Luke, come on.
Fine. So screwed that one
so
up.
then he just leaves, and I think he kind of
Dad.
just hangs out at ringside the rest of the match.
No, he went backstage.
Did he? Okay.
I didn't see him again.
And then we get to
that was Ric Flair outside the ring.
Oh, okay.
Can I call an actual mistake then? He says, "Welcome to New Year's Revolution," as if the rest wasn't part of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Which would have been better.
Wipe the slate here.
Which would have been better.
And then that does lead to the chamber match, which is Edge versus Triple H versus Randy Orton versus Batista versus Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit for the vacant world championship with HBK as the guest referee. It kind of felt to me like Chris Jericho was like a definite outlier in this match. Like, we need a sixth guy. And even Benoit, who directly factored in to the finish of why this title was vacated in the first place, to me, both those guys felt like complete outliers in the story they were telling. Particularly Jericho, but even Benoit to me too kind of felt like
they just didn't get enough context.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Jericho really felt like the odd man out here.
Yeah.
But God, did he look good.
He did. He looked great.
Oh, God, I loved it. I loved his tights.
I loved his hair.
His hair looked great.
But the blue and like pink and purple tights were so cool.
Oh, for sure. So let's get into the match here. So I have a lot of notes on this match, so just bear.
Well, can
with
we
me.
post evolution Randy Orton, awesome.
Yeah.
His theme song.
Yes. Hey,
Do you know who
Nothing
sang that?
you can say.
Do you know who sang that?
Who?
I believe it's the same people that sang Maven's theme song.
Cool.
Who?
Who's that?
Mercy Drive.
Oh, really?
Are those in your top 5 licensed songs?
I mean, I guess.
A lot of licensed songs on this show.
You can't. I don't think you can really call it a licensed song if they like wrote it for the guy.
I also forgot
That's
about
true.
Batista's old music. I liked it.
Oh, I marked out when it came out.
Yeah.
When he came out. So to start the match, we do have Jericho and Benoit.
Two greats.
Two greats, which I thought that was a very smart decision to start this match off with. Probably two of the best workers in the match.
Yeah, the
Seems like
two forgettable ones, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, but just as far as work
The
rate
two
goes,
out of place, yeah.
By the way, guys, if you tried to tell me that Big Mother Thruster was the one that sang Maven's song, they're the same band.
Thank you. Should we get into this match?
No, let's keep talking about Big Mother
Okay,
Thruster.
so Benoit and Jericho start things off. Really nice mat-based wrestling sequence here. Benoit chops Jericho, and it literally sounds like a gun's going off. And then Jericho gets some of his own. These two men are chopping the hell out of each other.
As they always do.
Benoit tries for the sharpshooter. Jericho rolls it into a slight roll-up attempt and then into the walls. Can't get it in. And Jericho gets up straight into a big German suplex. And then he tries for the crossface. Y2J fights it off. And then hits a kind of a sling blade type move for a near fall. First near fall of the match. There's an HBK chant, which I just thought was kind of funny because he wasn't even in the match. He was there. And then Lawler even said, it's not every day you hear a chant for the referee. Which is true. You don't hear a chant for the referee every day.
We also didn't mention this prior.
Yeah.
Triple H got a huge pop when he came out.
He really did, yeah.
Please explain. Anybody know?
Well, I think it's just
Because you're in Puerto Rico and this was their first pay-per-view, so they were stoked for everything.
yeah,
including
any
the
big
Jerry
star
Lawler match.
yeah, is going to be big. And-
Batista was also highly touted here.
True.
Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. So after the HBK chant, there's more chops to Jericho. He's sitting on the top rope, and Benoit just chops the hell out of him, hits him with a superplex. The gong goes off, and Triple H is the next man in. There's some strikes and kicks to Benoit in the corner, and then a running knee to Jericho by Triple H. And then Triple H sends Benoit like screaming like a rocket ship into the corner. He sells it like he's dead. That is a near fall for Triple H. And then there's some more big chops by Jericho to Triple H this time. And then Benoit gets sent out of the ring by Triple H and then sent into the cage wall. So that's the first steel bump we get of the steel
Benoit's
floor.
busted.
Benoit's busted open at this point, and Benoit is busted open by the wall at this point. Triple H sends Jericho out of the ring on the other side for good measure onto the steel floor outside.
There's no way that steel floor has any cushion, man.
No, that's why
Not
they
at
changed
all.
it because
And
the
I wish it
workers
was
got tired
still
of
the
bumping
way
on it.
it was back in.
Wow, that's two opposing
For
sides.
my own sake, I wish it was, but I'm glad they changed it.
Well, I remember hearing about it on the Pritchard pod, and he talked about just like how the creator of the Elimination Chamber
Was not
Eric
a
Bischoff.
was not.
the actual architects
You're dead to me.
were not the designers were not wrestlers.
Yeah, they were not wrestlers, and it took no consideration into the comfort of
Yeah.
bumps.
So Benoit's busted, as we
Damn it,
said.
Eric.
He gets sent into the cage wall again, and then back into the ring for a Triple H near fall. Jericho breaks up a pedigree attempt, and why did he do that? As an elimination chamber, it doesn't matter who loses. All you should care
No.
about is if you win.
No one wants Trips to win, okay?
Apparently not, because there's a few things like that happen throughout this match. Triple H tries a pedigree this time on Y2J, but he gets body dropped onto the steel floor. Hellacious bump by Triple H. He must have a thing. He must have a fetish for being dropped onto steel because he got dropped on. He took so many bumps on the steel floor in this match. He took 10 or 11 just in this one chamber match. He must have kind of liked it. Because
liked it.
He was taking it a lot. I mean, I loved it.
Was he? Was he taking it?
Yep. And there's a neck breaker to Jericho by Benoit. Timer goes off, and next up is Edge. He goes right after Jericho. There's a spear into the corner.
He was
and then
all over the damn place.
he
by
was
the way.
all over it. And then he hits the spear to Triple H in the
He
corner.
drank a stack or two before this match.
Yes, he did. He must have. Maybe
nice.
two. He hits an execution DDT to Triple H for a near fall. Belly to belly from Edge to Benoit, which is really nice. Stealing a page out of Benoit's playbook. I feel like you didn't see many maneuvers like that by Edge. So when he busted it out, I was pleasantly surprised.
I enjoyed that.
Yes.
I did too. I enjoyed this match. There's a springboard drop kick from Y2J to Edge on the outside of the ring. So he springboards on like the inside, right to the outside onto Edge. And then Edge gets the better of that, slingshots Jericho right into the cage wall. Triple H teases a pedigree on the steel floor, but Edge catapults him into the cage wall. Jericho's busted open at this point. Benoit tries for the crossface. Edge fights it off. Triple H is busted open at this point and hits a spine buster to Y2J for a near fall. Then Benoit hits a bridging Northern Light suplex to Edge for a near fall. And then Triple H hits a pedigree to Jericho, but cannot get the cover because he's injured. Orton comes in, flying crossbody right off the bat to Triple H. Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Man, Orton was something back in.
He really was. It was beautiful. And then Orton is just going all out on Triple H, sends him out of the ring, throws him into the cage wall. There's a snap power sign back in the ring to Triple H by Orton. And then an RKO to Jericho. No pinfall attempt there. Somebody could have covered him probably, but that's okay. Benoit counters an RKO attempt into a crossface type. They called it the crossface, but like it was not across his face. It was under his jaw. But he had the arm like captured. But they kept calling it a crossface. It was not a crossface.
I feel like he always had, like, he would just take it wherever on his face he could get it.
It was more like an STF, I guess.
Yeah,
but he didn't have
yes,
the legs.
Yes.
And
this exchange right here is awesome.
oh,
though.
yeah. And then Benoit puts the sharpshooter on Triple H. And then there's an RKO to Benoit by Orton. Orton ducks a spear. HBK gets it instead. And then Orton gets his spear a moment later. But of course, HBK is selling the spear. He can't count the cover. Edge gets up, tries to wake HBK up very aggressively.
Yeah, slaps
and in fact,
him around.
a little bit too aggressively because he eats the sweet chin music. Y2J instantly capitalizes with the Lion Salt, and Edge is the first man eliminated.
By
Continuation of that. HBK, he said he would get involved, and he did what he had to do. Worth noting, that was the only kind of funky
Screwy
HBK stuff in this match.
elimination,
Triple H goes for a pedigree, but Benoit breaks it up with a series of 3 Germans. Really nice. Benoit climbs on top of the chamber pod. Triple H is down. Painful to watch, knowing everything we know now. Flying headbutt to Triple H.
Okay, I got something
Yeah.
to say here.
Ooh.
Some foreshadowing here, I guess. Jim Ross called this the suicide headbutt.
Yeah.
And after what we know now,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Jim.
That was really tough to watch.
yeah, and hearing him say that, I was like, oh boy.
James was not on his best behavior here.
I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but also Jim Ross was calling a sharpshooter a crippler crossface.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was just off on this whole show.
And Coach corrected him one time because he said
Yeah.
it's a crippler crossface, and he said no, that's a sharpshooter.
Yeah. And again, he called he was not his best night, but not terrible either. Come on, we got to give him a little credit here.
Well, he's still JR at
sure.
the end of the day.
Well, he was still good.
So
but
after
I
that
mean,
flying
just not his
headbutt,
best.
Chris Jericho capitalizes on that, hits the walls of Jericho, and then Chris Benoit capitalizes on that, hits the crossface. You're almost certain at this point, because Orton's selling outside, that Triple H is going to have to tap. As he's thinking about tapping, the gong goes off. Of course, Batista's the last man in. I love this touch where the pod doesn't open right away, so the ref's like scrambling to get the pod
Yeah.
open while Triple H is just selling these moves in the ring.
He's getting 2 finishers.
Only
though,
Triple
dude.
H could have lasted that long with both men's submission finishers, by the way.
Exactly. That's how I felt.
But good old Triple H can withstand anything because he's the best of all time. And then Batista does come in at this point, and I lost my spot here. One moment.
He breaks it up.
Yeah, he breaks it up. He breaks up and then destroys everyone but Triple H, of course. And then Triple H and Batista kind of face off for a second here. And then Batista picks up Jericho in a military press and just throws him into a cameraman.
I love that.
It was a great spot.
It was super cool. I was kind of wondering if the cameraman was actually hurt or not.
The way he was selling, I think he was, because he was selling it like he died.
Oh, and they had to help carry him out of there.
It was great. You don't see stuff like that very often.
No, I loved it.
Cameraman
It was ruthless.
bump. It was great.
Ruthless aggression.
Whoa, I loved it.
You're full of it today,
You
pal.
are.
Oh, yeah.
Triple H sends Orton into the cage wall, and there's a running bulldog from Jericho to Triple H on the steel floor. Yikes. That was an awesome spot. And then there's a boot to Benoit's throat by Batista in the ring. And did you guys hear the way Benoit was selling that? He was like screaming like he was getting murdered. It was awesome.
We've acknowledged this multiple times. Benoit's one of the best sellers.
Oh, yeah.
out.
He was just screaming bloody murder. I loved it. And then after that, there's a spine buster from Batista to Benoit, and then one to Jericho. And then Benoit gets eliminated, and there's 4 men left at this point. And then there's a Batista bomb to Jericho, and he's gone. So the last 3 are the 3 founding, I guess not founding members because Ric Flair, but the 3 kind of more well-known members of Evolution. Batista,
3 full-time members.
Batista, Triple H, and Orton. So what's going to happen here, you think? Well, I think I know a little bit of what might happen here. So Orton at this point is kind of course, getting beaten up. He's fighting for his life. Yes, please.
I really did enjoy the double spine buster spot.
Oh yeah, that
where
was great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Batista
yeah.
Spinebusters Benoit, and then he
Turns around and
Spinebusters
Spinebusters Jericho.
onto
Yeah.
Benoit, and then
Yeah.
just pins
Oh,
Benoit.
I wrote it, but I forgot to mention. Yeah, it's worth mentioning. He Spinebusters Jericho onto Benoit and then pins Benoit.
Which Batista, honestly, I mean, had some green moments like early here. Batista, no, not in this match, but but he's always had such a clean Spinebuster.
Oh yeah. For
Very
sure.
beautiful.
So Orton is doing his best to fight off. He does get a backdrop from Orton to Triple H. From Orton to Triple H on the steel floor. He's really starting to take punishment though. He gets cut open after he gets thrown into the cage.
For those keeping count here, that's 4 of 6.
Yes, the only people who weren't were
Edge and Batista.
Yeah, which Edge didn't really have time to get because he wasn't in the match very long.
Sir.
So Randy's doing his best to fight them both off. Triple H and Batista gang up on Randy in the ring. There's a power slam from Triple H to Orton for a near fall, and there's a Triple H spinebuster for a near fall, and then Orton's just fighting for his life, and then the dick punch. He goes Batista
dick
trauma.
the dick axe handle really, because Batista goes for the Batista bomb. He fights it back with the dick axe handle, and then RKO, and Batista is eliminated. So Orton.
Trips is in the corner recovering.
The babyface, yeah. So Triple H clearly saw what happened.
He could have stopped it, but he
chose not to.
Nope.
He's in the business for himself, right here.
And then right now, I know what's happening. I know what's going to happen. But the inner fan in me is thinking, this is it. You're setting the stage for the babyface redemption arc is going to complete now for Randy Orton, because that's what they were pushing this whole time.
I thought they were pushing the rise and split of Batista.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So, dude,
I hated this ending.
didn't Orton already win the title?
Orton had already won the title.
He did, but then who beat him back for it? The same guy who beat him. Because
Okay,
the Reign
but
of Terror, the Reign of Terror took its toll on every person.
Orton
he
had his
faced through.
chance, bro.
Yeah, the whole point of this was to split Batista away from Evolution.
They
and
still
this
had
was
to get
plant the
Batista's
seeds.
solo run too.
Then why
Yeah.
even have Orton factor into the finish of the match? Because the whole thing was
because of the
planned.
history.
Why have him?
Orton
why
was trying
have
to
him,
split him up.
But why have him do this big babyface comeback
Go
just
off,
to
Zach.
lose the match? It makes no sense.
Go off, Zach.
From a logical booking perspective, why do that?
It makes great sense to me.
Yeah,
Orton
it makes
never
a
got
lot
his
of
seat
sense to me
back
too.
After
Yes,
he
yes,
lost.
he did.
No, not after he lost the title to Triple H. He never got it back.
He was a top babyface until he turned heel to face The Undertaker.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one because I hated the finish of this
Hey,
match.
Kyle.
Yeah.
We agree to agree. Pal.
Yeah,
For once.
Zach's wrong, but it's okay.
No, I just got it. I was so sick at this point.
You're
Just
mad.
Going back to 2005, I was so sick of the Reign of Terror at this point, and this
Oh,
just
yeah, me
further
too.
pushed me
Right,
away
me
from
too.
wrestling.
I think everybody was sick of the Reign of Terror, but I think this made perfect sense because Batista was going to win the Royal Rumble and then go on, and then he did the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing,
Which was epic.
awesome, and then he beat Triple H for the title at WrestleMania 21.
I mean, I'm glad where it went. I don't know why Orton had to be. I mean, I know why,
Because of the
but
evolution history.
and then Orton ended up facing Undertaker and winning
It's
the
like
belt
how all
back.
the Shield were
it's
involved in.
just when you do these, like, people have an expectation when you have this baby face like defying all the odds. Same thing with Booker T in his match against Triple H at WrestleMania 19. It's a very similar, like,
I don't think it's similar because there wasn't a third party involved. Of the
Also,
Booker
you
T
could
one.
tell. You could tell during this whole pay-per-view that it was centered around Batista.
Yeah, and it was about.
He's on the cover of the damn poster.
Yeah, and it was there's a backstage segment where Orton was trying to like you can't trust him, and it was going to end up being the whole Batista breaks free.
I thought for sure. Well, I thought the two things I kind of thought that could happen. I mean, in the back of my mind, I knew Triple H was going to win. I thought either Orton was going to get the title back or Batista was going to turn right then and there. I could have seen either of those happening, but ultimately they did drag out the Batista.
Right, and so the last thing I'll say before we finish up this match, so the crowd, smart as they are, Batista gets beat, and then as soon as Triple H charges from the corner at Randy, boos. Like, like an immense shower.
They knew
of
what
boos.
to do.
They knew the Reign of Terror was continuing.
So now it's down to just Triple H and Randy Orton, and so Orton. Wait, hold on.
As soon as the
Orton
pin
goes for the RKO. Goes for an RKO to Triple H. Flair and Batista stopped the pinfall from happening after that, though. Flair kind of, I don't know how the door got open, but
Because they were escorting Batista out of the ring.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Flair and Batista ran back in.
They both get involved.
Then Batista clotheslines the hell out of it.
HBK gets involved.
He
And
beats the shit out of Flair.
he destroyed
I
Flair.
love it. I love that.
And then he motions for the refs. They eventually take both guys.
Funny, he did not say I'm sorry there.
No, I don't think he needed to at that point. And then Triple H hits a pedigree to Orton and wins. And the Reign of Terror continues for just a little bit longer. This was the tail end of the Reign of Terror. I think once Batista and after the Batista Triple H, that was kind of the end of it.
21 was just
a
like
while.
the youth kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when both Cena and
And Batista.
won the
Yep.
belts.
So the match went 35 minutes. This was as much as I was poo-pooing the ending, this was a really good match.
It was.
It was really fun. There was a few tiny like logical things like I mentioned, like breaking up finisher attempts when you really didn't need to. But on the whole, I enjoyed it. I give it 4 stars. Really solid match of the night, like by far. I think, can we agree on that?
Yeah, I might have overrated
Absolutely.
this one just because it was the best thing here, but I give it 4.5. It's one of my favorite elimination chambers I've ever watched.
Really?
Yeah, it might. I don't know. It might be 1 or 2 on my list.
What about the one Sean won?
That one was good.
That's the one I used to defend too. That was my favorite, but
Yeah.
I might be wearing rose tinted glasses from. I've only seen that match once, and that was.
I mean,
when it
it's
happened.
really good, and so is the one where Bray Wyatt wins the title. But this
Yeah,
one
that's
might be
okay.
my
That was
favorite
nice.
one.
I gave actually. Well, now I feel like I underrated it. 3 and 3/4.
We ran the gamut on that
Yeah.
one. 3
Yeah.
3/4, 4, and would you give 4.5?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So 3 3/4 for me wasn't quite 4 stars, but I mean this sowed the seeds for the best run of Batista's career.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
So tons of fun on this show, and sorry, not tons of fun. Sorry, let me just backtrack that. Right
Tons of
quick.
fun on the
in this
show.
match.
Yeah.
On this match, it had 6 awesome wrestlers, and
Yep.
it was a good time.
It was. Elimination chamber matches are so hard to screw up.
Yep.
They have
Yeah.
done it though. On the rare occasion, there have been some that on the most
December
part.
to Dismember.
Yeah, for the most part, which I still give like 3 stars. On the most part, though, like I love the chamber. It's one of my favorite gimmicks, and it was the thing that kept me watching this show because I knew that that was the kind of the carrot at the end of the stick for me. It was like if I can just get to that elimination
get there.
chamber match.
Thank you, Eric, the creator, right, Kyle?
Yep.
Yep. Eric
So
the
what'd you
Creator.
give the show as a whole? Probably
So
not
on
good.
the whole, as good as the elimination chamber match was, I still think this is one of the worst shows we've reviewed. I give it a D+. If it wasn't for that elimination chamber match, this is an F show for me.
By far.
I also gave it a D+. Just the first match and the last match were saving graces. Everything else sucked. So yeah.
D+. Bad show that suffered from terrible booking and unfortunate injuries.
Yeah.
And the first
Yep.
match and the main are the only ones worth watching.
And
Definitely.
So next week we got the Royal Rumble 2000.
Yes.
And I'm gonna run down the card. We got Kurt Angle versus Taz.
yes.
We have
Great.
the Dudleys versus the Hardys in a tag team tables match.
Yes.
Lovely.
We have a triple threat match for the undisputed WWF Intercontinental Championship between Chris Jericho, Hardcore Holly, and Chyna.
Nice.
Oh,
We have a tag team title match between the New Age Outlaws and the Acolytes.
Nice.
We have a street fight for the WWF Championship with Triple H and Cactus Jack.
Nice.
And then we have a 30-man Royal Rumble match for a WWF Championship match at WrestleMania 2000.
Yes. So
Which,
we are. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
okay, I was going to say, that's the one with the McMahon in every corner. I didn't realize the title
Yeah.
was on the line there, but it is.
So when we were picking, so it is Royal Rumble season. Royal Rumble month is upon us here in January.
Heck yeah.
I think it was kind of between 99, which is the Rock and Mankind's street fight, or the I Quit match.
Right, and the one that isn't that the one Stone Cold won? 99.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It was between that and 2000, and I think when we kind of looked at the whole cards, 2000 kind of proved to be a more promising card front
We'll
to bottom.
eventually get to 99.
Oh, for sure.
It's a lot
But
of fun.
we were excited to bring that guys to you next week. We hope you'll tune in.
All right.
Happy
Thanks,
New
guys.
Year.
Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.
Love you, brother.